Hey, what's up, folks? How is it going? This is Avit here, and welcome to Devops Interview. So today's interview question is: how do you provide API security on Kubernetes? So there are multiple security areas. We'll go one by one. Network level security is network policies, which controls pod-to-pod traffic. So multiple pods are on the same node. And for security purpose, let's say there are three pods A, B, and C on the same machine on the same node. Now, A should be able to talk to B, but A should not be able to talk to C. So, if you want to have that kind of control between pod to pod traffic, then we need to implement or deploy security policy, right? And this we have already discussed how to deploy security policy in one of the previous videos. The and on AWS side, it also requires manual implementation. Like we can go for Calico, and AKS doesn't apply them by default. Next one is service meshes. It encrypts service to service communication. Service one to service communication, it encrypts it. So adds observability and MTLS between microservices. So we can use AWS App Mesh or Istio. Then we have Ingress Controller, manages external traffic securely. It acts as a controlled gateway into the cluster. And we can use ALB or Nginx Ingress. It needs again manual setup. Then we can come to authorization and authentication. Authentication and authorization. Authentication means who are you, and authorization means what can you do. Like I'm able to enter into the system, but I won't be able to delete some pod. I will be able to only view it, right? And I'm not able to enter at all. That is like authentication. Once I authenticate, I enter the system. Then I will see whether I have the authorization. Means what kind of task I can do. I can view the pods, but I cannot delete the pods. So it will be role-based access control. Maybe like admin will have all the options, but not everybody need to have option to delete the pod. So grant permissions to users and services. It's enabled by default. We must define rules, bindings, and policies on AWS. Then we have API gateway. API gateway authenticates routes and limits external calls. So you are running some containers in the Kubernetes pods inside the pods. So if you are making API call, that API has to be secure. So AWS API gateway is available. It needs some integration effort. Then we have OAuth. OAuth is a standard login protocol for identity. It is used for single sign-on. We can use AWS 𝐤𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐞𝐬. Then in under authorization authentication, we have MTLS. It verifies both sides of the communication. A verifies B verifies B. Both sides of the communication is verified. Ensures identity validation between services. Records set up by AWS Certificate Manager and Service Mesh. Then we have API specific security, rate limiting, throttle excessive API calls. Suppose if we send 1 lakh API calls to the service. So to prevent that abuse or DOS style spikes, AWS has RAS or API gateway. We can attach this Kubernetes specific rate limits means task concept. Input violation, sanitize and validate user input, prevent injection, malprompt request must be implemented in app logic or gateway. GWT validation validates bearer token for identity, ensures that it requested is verified. AWS 𝐤𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐞𝐬 can be used. Then API keys are there, token-based access for apps and services. Simple access control with revocation. We can use pod security standard, store it in secret manager or parameter store, manual injection into pod. Then secure configuration, pod security and policies, control pod capabilities, use pod security standard PSS, secret management, secure credentials tokens, all these things should be secured. We can use AWS Secret Manager. CIS benchmarks, best practices for security hardening. AWS Security have allergy added, but remediation is your responsibility. So get if there is some security issue, also it will get alert. But to fix that, that's our responsibility. Resource isolation prevents noisy neighbors, ensures fair use of CPU, memory, etc. So that way we can like there may be some pod which may start consuming a lot of CPU power or memory. So that way also like we will ensure that fair use of CPU and memory. Monitoring and incident response, API logging, tracks every call made to the API, runtime security. On AWS, it's a CloudWatch API logging. CloudWatch for basic logs, deeper audit logging, extra setup because runtime security is monitoring running container for threats, detect anomalies during execution, use AWS Guard Duty for EKS, security scanning, check containers manifest, prevent vulnerabilities before deployment. ECR provides image scanning, TV saying this kind of tools can be used. Right? So these are the different ways security. It's a big area. Network level, network policy, service mesh, ingress control, network level you can talk about. Then authorization, authentication, role-based authentication, API gateway, OAuth, TLS, API specific, rate limiting, input validation, JWT validation, API keys, secure configuration, ticket management, CIS benchmark, resource isolation. Then we can talk about monitoring, incident response, API logging, runtime security, security scan. There are many items are there under this. So let's have a look at today's quiz. What is the purpose of network policies in Kubernetes? Encrypt data at rest, define pod-to-pod communication rules. Yes, we know that it defines pod-to-pod communication rules. Whether pod A will be able to communicate B or not, that kind of rule is set in this policy. Answer is B. Next one is what is the role of service mesh in a cloud agnostic environment? Provision storage volumes, encrypt and manage service to service traffic, deploy virtual. So answer is B. Encrypt. Encrypt service to service traffic. What AWS service can be used to manage API rate limiting for services exposed by API gateway? We know that AWS WAF can be used to manage API rate limiting. So that's it for today. Hope you like this video. Please like and share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also follow me on my Devops Interview. I post questions and quizzes daily, so you can participate in the quiz and also follow my WhatsApp channel. Thank you and see you again in the next video.